Today, I want to talk about voting. Because why have a friendly comment section? I was interested in finding out why people don't vote. I went to my in-home library, known as google.com, and navigated my way through many different websites, many places. I didn't want this to just be a case of where I find an article and I'm like, oh, look at me, I found an article, I can read an article. I'm trying to be as accurate as possible here. And initially I thought the main reasons would be something like lesser of two evils, my vote doesn't matter, voter apathy. To my surprise, but in retrospect it makes a lot of sense, the number one reason it seems that people don't vote, according to the US Census Bureau after several elections, time and again, the number one reason it seems is too busy. Now that could make you say to yourself, how could you, lazy citizen? That was a soundbite. That's not actually how I scream. Oh, ice cream, that sounds good. Well, in some cases, it might just be a lazy slacker. There could be legitimate reasons for this. And saying you're too busy could also just be a polite excuse in place of things like don't know enough about the candidates or don't like the candidates enough to make it worth my time. Or it can and probably does mean in a lot of situations that registration and voting can be a big pain in the ass. China and I just moved to Austin and we had to change driver's license and register. The whole process was at least 3 hours, and it cost a bunch of money to get new IDs. And if we weren't paying close attention, we could have easily been too late for registration. Luckily, I'm my own boss and could afford to be able to do this whatever time I wanted to.
Hang on 1 second. Your own boss, you say?
Well, in some ways, corporate club's my boss.
Damn straight. And don't play with your nose. It's unprofessional.
Also, in some places in the US, it takes hours and hours before you have to vote, and in many places, it takes 15 minutes to a half hour, which is a long time to wait in line for anything. How often do you wait in line for something for 15 minutes or a half hour? Maybe waiting for a table in a restaurant or the opening of a new movie. Star Wars. But in both cases, you end up with something awesome. 2 hours of a great movie, or delicious food and friends and laughs and booze, if you're old enough. But opting to possibly leave work, wait 15 minutes to a half hour, maybe 2 hours, punch holes next to names of people for a few minutes and not get any booze or Star Wars. I could understand why you would say you're too busy. Not to mention, if you have kids that you have to make dinner for at home, you'd have to make a very good case to someone like that voting is worth it. Of course, there's solutions like early voting and voting by mail, depending on your situation, but I still sympathize with people who feel like they're too busy or that voting just doesn't seem worth it to them. Whether or not you think they're lazy, irresponsible citizens, the fact remains that the biggest reason people give that they don't vote is that they're too busy. We can plead all we want about the value of voting, but maybe other things have to change. Maybe voting should be easier. Maybe you should be able to register in person the day you vote, like you can in 11 states currently. Look at that list. If you live in that state, you can still register the day that you vote. Maybe we should have voting on a weekend, or make it a national holiday. There are people who are opposed to this. The American economy slows down a lot during holidays, but I think making it harder to vote slows down America. Now, when I say America, I mean the United States. I realize it could also refer to all of North and South America, but it's just easier to say. It's less syllables. America. United States. Here's another thing that comes up that I see that keeps people from voting. The lesser of two evils. I'm just voting for the less bad candidate. Well, you know what? We'll vote for the less bad candidate then. Less bad equals less bad. If you believe no matter what you're gonna have bad, wouldn't you rather have less bad? If someone came up to me and was like, listen, I'm gonna either slap you in the face or stab you in the arm, which would you choose? I would choose slap in the face. To which I can hear some of you responding, well, I'm opting out because I am protesting the system that allowed the lesser of two evils to be my options. And I understand that. We want a better system. We all want things to be better. However, unfortunately, if you are someone who is eligible to vote and it's not that difficult for you to vote, and you choose not to, you are still choosing something. Politicians campaign and make policy based on those that vote and those that don't vote. They will pay attention to groups that are voting because that's how they get reelected. They also pay attention to money and lobbyists. But voting is one of the things they pay attention to. By opting out, you are one less vote in whatever part of the electorate you are in that they have to worry about. Sure, by opting in, you might be opting in on something you don't 100% agree with, but I don't think I've ever seen that be the case. No politician has ever had 100% the exact policy I would love. Whether you vote for Clinton or Trump or Jill Stein or Gary Anderson, Gary Johnson, Ben Stein, or Gary Cooper, I don't 100% agree with any of them. And even if you don't want to vote for president, there are plenty of local elections happening right now too. Those might be even more important and directly affect you more. If I only decided things that were 100% in agreement with me, probably wouldn't do anything. Should I have a beer? Oh, no, alcohol's a depressant and the can it comes in is a waste of metal. Should I go to a movie? It uses electricity and is a glorified version of reality that is misleading. And I know some movie producers that support Gary Cooper for president, so no. I'm just someone who likes to look at the reality of the situation and try to make the most of it. Yes, there's things that could be perceived as bad and things that could be perceived as great, but most things are in a gray area, and why can't we just improve that gray area? Oh god, I know I'm gonna get so many negative comments about this. Just know that I've seen it all already. If you're thinking you need to inform me on something, I've seen it. But of course, this is free speech, and I'm open-minded to whatever you have to say. But remember, I'm only going to take things seriously if they have a legitimate source. And then there's the idea that your vote doesn't matter, that one vote isn't going to decide the election. Of course that's true. I think I saw the odds being like 1 in 60-some million chance of one vote deciding the election. You have a better chance of getting hit by a car on your way to the ballot. Drive safe on your way to the ballot. If you learn anything from this video, drive safe on your way to the ballot. But here's the thing, your vote does matter, even if it's not the deciding vote. How different parts of the population vote dictate policy and what is represented in government. It's not one-to-one. Politicians have other interests, like lobbyists and money and such, but it does have an effect. They do need you to vote for them to keep their jobs. Another big, big reason why people don't vote in this country, they're Canadian or another country. And, that's no excuse. Stop being Canadian. Just stop it. And of course, you're not old enough. Time machine? There's so much more I want to say, and I don't think I've said this as effectively as I wanted to, which I knew would be the case, and I know that so many of you are going to be angry. I just really wanted to analyze why people don't vote, and I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's useful or not. I hope I shed some light on something. That's all for today.